Hi folks, welcome back to Free America. Today we're going to talk about M4 bayonet, which is something I don't think I've ever talked about bayonets on this channel before, and that's mostly because I don't have very many of them. The M4 was the bayonet for the M1 carbine. Some interesting things about M4 bayonets, right? This is the early World War II version. And I'll show you the markings on it. This one's made by Imperial, and it came with the M8 scabbard. So the M8 scabbard was originally used with the M3 combat knife, and then as they started to issue the M1 carbine bayonets, they went to the M8A1 scabbard. So the biggest difference here. So this is an M5 bayonet. It's an M1 Garand bayonet. But we're talking about the scabbards. So this is a later M8A1. Let me show you the markings on this, so you can see that. Let me see, US M8. It's hard to make out, but it says BMCO. Right. This one has got some unit markings on the back. The M8A1. The major difference is this is a later version where they have the metal tips, but the biggest difference is this metal hook to hang it on your web belt. So lots of the M8s were modified by having the hook put on. This one has not been. So this is a nice early, 43, 44 era bayonet. So the interesting thing about the M4 bayonet and the M5 bayonet, which I just showed you, and the M6 bayonet, which is for the M14, and the M7 bayonet, which is for the M16, is that they all use the same blade, and this is the same blade that was used on the M3 fighting knife. That knife blade is still very popular today, and I'll show you something else pretty cool here in just a second. But so this one, trying to see, made by Imperial, US M4. It's got the little ordnance bomb on it, and it's got the S, right, for standard products. Now later in the war, the two little pins right here are peened. And there was another maker for Imperial that used a little shield with I believe it was an M, either an M or a W in it. But this is an early one, right? It's not modified. This is it's interesting because it's got the plastic top and bottom. It's got 6 deep V-shaped grooves in the leather handle. Right, it's pretty cool. So M4 bayonets are pretty cool. If you have an M1 carbine with a bayonet lug on it, then you probably have to have one of these. The interesting thing is, not up until like maybe 45 do you actually start seeing photographs of people carrying M4 bayonets during World War II, all the way through the theater of operations in Europe. You don't see anybody having one of these. No, I'm sorry, excuse me. You don't see anyone having one mounted on an M1 carbine, mostly because the M1 carbines had not yet been modified to take the bayonet lug. Pretty interesting. That said, the knives were issued as a knife bayonet, so it's both a knife and a bayonet, right? It's got the, like I said, the same blade as the M3 fighting knife. Pretty cool. So this is the later 1950s era M1 carbine bayonet, or excuse me, M1 Garand bayonet, right? So this little doodad goes in the gas plug, and let me see if I can. So this is a Milpar. It says US M5A1. Again, same blade, right? Very interesting blade. Now here's something pretty cool. This is not a military issue knife. It isn't a military issue scabbard though. So I bought this little Imperial knife in the PX in the 1980s. And this is what's cool about it. So it's the M3 style fighting knife blade, right? It says marked Imperial on the Rocasso. It's got these huge teeth for cutting, and then I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it's got little tiny serrations up on top. All right, so this part is serrated, and then this part is heavily serrated. And it's got, you know, the standard blade. So this tip right here is a Phillips screwdriver tip, and this tip right here is a flat tip screwdriver tip, and the end of it is like a hammerhead, right? You can pull nails, you can beat things with it. I have used the hell out of this little knife. I think it's a neat little tool, but again, Imperial, right? Made by Imperial. Sold on the commercial market. Actually, I guess they were sold on the commercial market. It came with some funky looking camouflage cover on top of the plastic scabbard, which I immediately got rid of and put it in my M7 bayonet scabbard, or M8A1 bayonet scabbard, right? So anyway, these are just a few of my favorite little toys. Thanks for joining me. If this was helpful at all, you know, give me a thumbs up. If you think it sucks, give me a thumbs down. If you have questions, comments, you know, please leave comments below by all means. And God bless America. Thanks for joining me.